little bit of focus on triangle pose today. It's one of my favorites and didn't used to be. Triangle pose is kind of one of those poses that the more I've done with my yoga practice, the more I've learned to open up my side body and bring different intention into that pose. So I'm hoping that that will happen for you today as well. So we're going to start today's practice on your back. If you aren't already there, just take your time, head down to the floor. Start to let your spine kind of loosen, soften into the earth. And let the breath become easy. Your legs might be long down the mat, or you might have some soft bends in your knees. And just try to take a moment just to soften the muscles of the face, shoulders, the elbows. Let the fingers either rest gently on the earth beside you, or maybe slightly curved towards the ceiling, or maybe even you have your hands resting on your belly. Wherever you found to relax those arms, go ahead and just embrace that shape. Let your breath begin to lengthen. Feel a nice calming stillness move throughout the body. As you feel ready, we'll take our time to bring right knee easy into chest. Rock around a little bit on the lower back, hugging that right knee in nice and close. And then just take your time and switch out your legs. Bring your left knee into your chest. I'm showing a much gentler version, keeping the other foot grounded on the earth. Sometimes that's a great way to start, especially if your back's feeling a little tight. Go back to that original right knee. This time your left leg might go long down the mat. You might take a little time to point flex the toes if you didn't already do that. Maybe even start to roll around your ankles a little bit. Again, dropping those shoulders down from your ears, letting your spine find peace in the earth. And then we'll switch knees. Bring the opposite knee in this time. Let the other leg go nice and long down your mat. Again, pointing and flexing the toes, taking your time to roll around the ankles. Bringing feet both to the mat. Knees are going to bend up towards the sky. Feet planted on the earth, knees bent towards the sky, arms stretch out to the sides, maybe take a T shape if space allows, and then just let your knees windshield wiper nice and big from right to left. Just a little bit of opening down the side body, a little twisting through the core. Relax shoulders, relax muscles of the face. And the next time those knees are back up to center, invite that right knee again in towards your body. Hug it at the shin. And then switch your grip to the back of the thigh and elevate that right foot up to the sky. And keeping that left foot planted on the mat, see if you can slide your right hand up a little higher on this leg. Your left hand can either follow suit, or you might bring the head back to earth and extend that left arm up and over your head. It's a big stretch for that hamstring. Relax into that shape. Perfect. Softening everything, elbows and knees. Bring everything back to center. Knees are going to both come into chest. Rock out any kind of tension that might have happened in the shoulders or the back. And then switch sides. This time you'll have that left knee hugged in, hugging at the shin first, and then just switch the grip to the back of the thigh. Extend that foot towards the ceiling. You've got your left leg high, so let the left hand slide up the back of the leg. Right hand might follow it, or you might take that right hand up and over the head and let it extend long behind you. Again, a big stretch for that hamstring. Perfect. Softening everything, elbows and knees. Hug those knees into chest, and then just kind of rock around a little bit. Again, on the low back. Right knee stays hugged in again. This time let the left leg go long down the mat. We're going to welcome that right knee over and across the body. Take a recline twist. Reach that right arm maybe out to the side. Gazing over that right shoulder if it feels okay in your spine. And then we'll just start to bring this back to center. Switch sides, opposite knee comes in. We're going to take that same recline twist over and across the body. Arm stretches long and wide, gazing over that shoulder perhaps. Taking that full recline twist. Your head may look in the opposite direction, looking towards that shoulder. Perfect. Unwinding from that twist, bring it back to center. Both knees hug to chest. Keep your right knee in nice and close. Drop the left foot down to the mat. Switch the grip to the back of the thigh, that same hamstring looking stretch. Except for this time, you've got your right foot lifted. You're going to reach across with your left hand. And see if your left hand can grab on the outer edge of that calf. You might even extend, since you've got that right leg lifted, the right arm up over your head. Perfect. Start to slowly soften all of that, and then just switch knees. Opposite knee in, opposite foot drops. Switch the grip to the back of the thigh. Extend for that hamstring stretch. You've got the left leg up high. So this right hand's going to reach over to the outer side of that calf. Opposite arm might reach up and over your head. Softening all of that, elbows and knees. Knees come into chest. And then just rock around one more time on that spine. We're going to be a little bit playful today with our sun salutations. So the way that we move up and down on our mat. So I want you to just play with rocking on your spine. So pull the knees in towards your chest and then kind of rock up towards your seat and then fall right back. So do that like 1 or 2 times. Really just kind of play with that spine, because we're going to throw this in today. See if you can be a little playful there. Last one, come back up to your seat and then just pause. Beautiful. Hands reach out to the side, tall spine, lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling, right ear fall towards right shoulder. Inhale, bring the head back up over spine, left ear towards left shoulder. Head back up over spine. Inhale, reach the fingers high to the sky. And then right hand falls down towards the floor, reaching up and over. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take it over. Back to center. Exhale, hands down into your heart or to the floor. And then just transfer into table. Your time. Now, if you have blocks handy, now would be a good time to kind of crawl around and reach for those. Just put them up close to the front of the mat if and when you decide to need them. Wrists under shoulders, kind of play around with the weight in the hands, distributing it between the wrists and your heels. a child's pose. Walking the hands slowly over towards the right edge of your mat, maybe even off onto the floor on that right side. Sit a little deeper into that left heel. And release. Inhale, take your time. Hands start to walk back towards center. Let's send them over to the other edge of the mat. Sit into that opposite heel. Really peel away that side wall. Taking your time, walking those hands back to center. Tabletop. Cat-cows. Belly drop on the inhale. Back rounds on the exhale. Follow your own pace of breath. Just take your time, a few more of these. Last one. Hands take one slight step out in front of the shoulders. We curl the toes under, we rock a little more forward into our hands, and then lift your hips up for your first downward facing dog of this practice together. Your hands are about shoulder distance apart, but your fingers are spread nice and wide. You're trying to build that upside down V shape with your spine as you push those hips back towards the wall behind you. Take your time and allow your right knee to drop down towards the earth. Step your left foot all the way up between your hands. Blocks are always available if you'd like to use those, and lean into that front knee. Getting a little bit of opening for that iliopsoas, those hip flexors. Give it one more solid breath here with either hands on blocks or hands on the earth. And then I just want you to slowly start picking up your gaze. So take it from the floor to slightly out. Let the hands start to move with you, and then take them with your gaze upward. Until ultimately your pinkies kind of turn in towards one another, your gaze is high, and then track it back down the wall. Hands following suit, take it nice and slow. Let your gaze follow those pinkies, follow sight out in front, until your hands are either back on blocks or floor. Toes will curl under on that back foot, and we'll start to lift up that back knee. Staying within this shape, see if you can do the same thing again. Slowly start picking up the gaze. Obviously, this is going to be a lot more difficult because we're going for a bigger stance. Slow and controlled, back down to earth. Watch the muscles of the feet. Your toes will want to curl under. Keep them flat and spread out. Beautiful. Knee drops down into ground. Front foot steps back to meet the back foot. Sit to child's pose, one breath. Switching out your feet, opposite foot comes forward. Taking that right foot to the front of the mat. Holding that same low lunge. Sinking into that front foot a little bit, really talking to that iliopsoas. That hip flexor, slowly. And then the gaze will follow the hands just as it did before. Start peeling up from the earth, from the blocks. Letting those hands go nice and slow. Upward until our gaze feels natural, but lifted. And then slowly trace that right back down the wall, down those fingers. Easy back to blocks. Toes start to curl under on the back foot. Knee lifts. Take your time to check alignment. Make sure this front knee is still nice. Bend over ankle. And then start lifting back up again. Slow, steady motion. Intentional with where we are. Taking your time. Easing those hands back down to look for earth. This time when they hit the blocks, separate the blocks off the mat. Hands to ground, front foot steps back. This time you're in downward facing dog. Walk it up. One breath. Small steps with your feet. Slowly walk those feet towards your hands, but keep your head hanging down. Forward fold. Inhale, bring yourself up halfway, a long extended spine, crown points forward. Exhale, fold. Plant the feet, big inhale, let's reach it up. Look for the sky. Exhale it to the heart. One traditional half sun salutation first. So we'll just inhale for length, and then we'll exhale and fold. Find that half lift, looking for long spines. Exhaling and fold. Back to standing, plant the feet, take your time. Soften to the heart. All right, trying something a little different. We'll inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Once you hit that fold, bend your knees, take it to a squat. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, release the breath. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Repeat, same rhythm. Inhale on the way up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway up. This time, let's try to exhale and squat. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, release the breath. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, this is where we're going to get a little more playful. So inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Halfway up. Exhale, fold and squat. Bend the knees. Reach the hands back behind. One rock. Back up towards your feet. And then plant your hands. Step your feet back. Put yourself into downward facing dog. That one was slow motion. The next one will give you a little more space to go a little faster if you'd like. And then the third one, I'll give you a little space to maybe try and jump back if you want to get fancy. Small steps with your feet. Walk forward towards your hands. Find the half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach. We're going to go right into it. As you exhale, fold again. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, find the squat. Hands reach back. Inhale, breath, knees to chest. Exhale, forward. Find your hands on the ground. Step the feet back. Downward facing dog. Small steps with those feet. Begin walking to your hands. Forward fold again. Half lifting with the breath when you feel ready. Exhale, fold. Last one. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Halfway up. Back to your squat. Rolling back onto your back. As you come forward, crisscross your ankles, plant your hands, then jump back. Laugh through it if that felt good and fun. Great. If you took it a little slower, no worries. Put yourself in that downward facing dog. All right. Drop knees to earth, sit the hips back onto heels, child's pose. 3 breaths. Let the arms stay long and extended if that feels nice in your body. Or you might even choose to soften the elbows a little bit. Really let yourself settle into the earth. One more nice breath. Perfect. Taking time, we'll ease our way back up towards table. Table turns to down dog. And then slow steps with the feet. Walk forward towards your hands. Half lifting when you feel ready. Exhaling, folding, standing tall on the next inhale. Then just come to a traditional Tadasana or mountain pose, bringing hands to heart, palm to palm, eyes closed. Find that breath. Maybe even slow little rolls of the shoulders. So you feel grounded into the earth. Taking your time, step your right foot back towards the back of your mat. Spin that right foot so it becomes parallel with the back of your mat. And you'll find yourself in a nice warrior two. Now, if you have a block handy, you might reach for it. See if you can put it somewhere near this front foot. You may decide you want it, you may decide you don't. It's going to be up to you. But you'll get that warrior shape. And then we'll take our front hand, just do an easy reverse warrior. Make sure that side body's ready, leaning away from that front knee. Back to warrior, and then find the side angle. You've got the block today, so maybe go a little lower. Put your hand on the block. Reach this opposite arm up and over the head. Fingertips forward towards the front, watching that front knee. Give it a nice, decent bend. Beautiful. Inhale, breath, bring the chest up, soften that pose. Front knee straightens, let's take triangle. Front hand reaches forward, and then now look for that block. You might decide, you know what, it's a little short, I want to turn it, or it's a little tall, I want to flatten it. The idea is that this hand in the sky is waving in the same direction as your hips. Your chest is nice and open. Your front knee is not locked. It's got a little softness to it. One more breath. Relax the neck. Beautiful. Maybe soften that knee on your way up. Look for a reverse triangle, perhaps with a front straight leg. Excellent. Go back and look for that triangle again. This time, give the back toes maybe just a little kick, so that you can kind of turn this back hip a little more towards that front corner. Now see if when you reach and fold, if that does anything different. Does it give you a little more availability, or does it make it a little more constricted? Everybody's body's a little bit different. Give it one more space to breathe here. Beautiful. Softening the front knee if you need to. Bring it up. And then reverse triangle. Excellent work. Soften that front knee. All right, we're going to take our time and transition from this warrior, picking up this front block. Place it just out in front of this front toe. So my stance is a little too big. I'm going to bring this back foot in a little closer. And then I'm going to lift into a half moon. So I've got that back foot nice and flexed. Hands camping out on my hip just for a moment. But if it feels okay to open, you can try this in a bigger shape. Now, of course, if that feels too big for you today, you can always keep this back foot on the ground. Soften that knee and only just kind of bring it up little bits at a time when you feel ready. Or you can really flex through that foot. Try to stack your hips and open up. Ideally, finding something not moving to focus that gaze on. Perfect. Start to soften that. Just bring that back foot down, swing it up, put it next to your standing front leg, and then just turn it into a nice ragdoll shape. Knees will probably bend. Back becomes heavy. Swing it side to side. All right, use your next natural inhale to bring you up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Find that Tadasana again. Shoulders might take itty bitty rolls up towards the ears and down the spine. Might work out a little bit of something hiding in your neck. Hopefully you didn't let too much tension in when you were playing with that triangle. Perfect. All right, this time we're gonna step back with the left foot to the back of the mat. Let it spin so it becomes parallel. Arms reach out nice and wide. Take that same warrior two approach. Take a quick peek around, maybe look for those blocks. If you don't have one on the inside, we'll make sure you get it there. And then just an easy reverse warrior first, leaning away from that front knee. Back to warrior two. Let's look for side angle. Remember, you've got a block handy, so perhaps today your hand goes down to that block. Top arm reaches up and over, fingertips reaching out, a decent bend in this front knee. Perfect, take your time, back up. Straightening the front knee, reaching forward with those fingertips, tip to find your triangle pose. Remembering the idea, if you have any kind of design on your shirt, you're trying to shine it straight out towards the outer edge of your mat, the side of your mat. Beautiful. Maybe soften this on your way up. Straighten front knee, lean away, reverse triangle. Back to look for that triangle shape. If you didn't already turn that hip, and you'd like to kind of angle this back foot so that it's kind of over to the outer edge there. Let's do another go at that triangle. So watch this front knee. It has a tendency to want to hyperextend on some of us. So it might need a little softening. And then lean into that shape. Now it's not uncommon for your triangle to feel a little more comfortable maybe on one side than the other. Feel a little more open. Watch those hips. Make sure they stay nice and square. Shoulders stacked, ideally on one on top of the other. And then we'll bring ourselves up. Last reverse triangle. Perfect. From here, go ahead and start thinking about softening that front knee, reaching for your block, maybe setting it a little bit out in front of this foot. Your stance is too big for that next round of half moon. Go ahead and make adjustments. Back foot comes up off the earth, flexed foot. Finding something to focus that gaze on. As we look for balance here. Knowing that if we fall, it's no big deal. Just bring the foot down. Give yourself a chance to reset. Softening out of that half moon when you feel ready. Both feet step forward. Take the same ragdoll shape that you found before. Opposite hand reaches for elbow. And you just sway. Staying within that ragdoll shape, let the hands start to drop down towards earth. Walk the feet in closer to one another. Drop to a squat, one breath. Hands will walk back by hips, and we'll go through our little playfulness again. Rock back on the spine. Back up, and then place yourself in to that downward facing dog. Again. Right foot lifts, left foot plants itself in the middle of your mat. Take a three-legged dog. Give yourself a breath there. Right knee starts to bend, slight turn of the hip as we lift it towards the sky, and you're opening that hip. As you exhale, bring this right knee forward towards your right elbow, and then send it back up in the air. 2 more times towards the elbow, and then in the air. Last one towards the elbow, relax the neck, in the air. This time when the knee comes forward, start planting it just behind the wrist, and take pigeon. Back knee might find the ground, toes might look for earth. We easy walk some space into our legs. And then maybe it feels nice to go ahead and float the chest down towards the earth. Remembering that if a traditional pigeon isn't sitting well with you today, or you're newer to yoga and this shape just doesn't make sense, you could always drop this hip down towards the earth. Soften your back knee and just kind of gently lean over here to the side. If that still doesn't work for you, you can transfer all of this onto your back. You can do this as a reclined pose. Looks like figure 4. Create a little bit more space in that pigeon. Give yourself 2 more easy breaths. Next natural inhale, we'll start to slowly peel our chest, our heads up off the earth. Transition back to find either tabletop with a couple cat-cows, or maybe that big down dog, or even a child's pose, whatever transitional elements seem to make sense in your body. Right foot moves to the middle of the mat, left foot lifts nice and high. Take that left foot forward, left knee forward rather, towards the knee. Send it back up. 2 more. Attach some breath to this core work. Exhaling as you hover. Inhaling when you send it up. And then the next time it comes forward, just drop it right behind that wrist. Start looking for the length, knee, toe, knee, toe. Knowing that if that shape doesn't work for you, just like I showed you before on the other side, there's modifications. You can fall to the right or to the left out of that hip. And swing around, put yourself on your back. You can add props like pillows or blankets, blocks underneath the pose as you start to settle in. listening to your own body. If something starts to become irritating to one of the major muscle groups, if something just really isn't sitting just right with you, you can always make adjustments. As much as we're looking for the effort in these poses, we're always setting our eye on the force of ease as well, finding that element of ease. Start to slowly pick your chest up off the ground, walk those hands back, and instead of turning this right into down dog, this time I just want you to kind of fall out of it. So take that left hip, bring it down to the ground, start swinging this back leg from around back. And we're going to do with both legs on top, so it doesn't really matter which one you start, but pick one leg to be your bottom leg. The other leg can sit here tall, just kind of bracing itself on the ground. Or you might try a fire log where you flex that bottom leg, match up ankle, knee, and stack those logs on top of one another. Some may even enjoy something that looks like cow face, where your knees match, stack on top, and you hug your heels back towards your hips. Whatever next natural pose feels good, or you want to try a little combination of one or two of them, that's fine too. Closing the eyes, dropping the shoulders down from the ears. Begin to unwind whatever leg positioning you had and just do that again in reverse. So if you've had your left leg on the bottom, go ahead and put your right leg on the bottom. Maybe you build that fire log, or maybe you just sit with a nice tall spine, or perhaps you liked that cow face pose where we bring our knees to touch and we hug the heels back towards the hips. Releasing any tension in the head or the neck, of course, while we're here. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, softening the muscles of your face, I encourage you to do so. Again, taking any version of those shapes that I showed you. And then we'll just start to soften. Unwind those legs. Bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Hands reach back by your hips, maybe flipping palms towards, so that the fingertips push towards the outer edges or the back of your mat. And maybe just lift slightly through the heart. Head might fall back if that feels okay, or it just might be slightly lifted away from your chest. Almost as if you're laying on the beach somewhere. Taking a little sunbathe. Feel the heat of the sun across the face. Warmth as our heart and our chest opens. Full breath. And then just soften those hands. Start walking them back forward. Soles of the feet find each other. Knees fall out. Maybe the hands even reach all the way around and cradle your feet as you take a bound ankle. You might find yourself seated tall here, or a natural tendency is to kind of want to hinge at those hip creases and bring the chest down a little closer to the feet. If that feels good to you, you certainly can take that shape, but let's keep some space between our chin and our chest. Reaching the crown of the head out and forward. Taking an easy breath to lift the chest back up if you have folded forward, walking those knees or standing them back up with some help from your hands. Your blocks are probably up close to the front of the mat, so feel free to either reach or kick or grab for one of those. They might feel nice as we start to conclude today's practice back on our backs. But give yourself one more of those joyful rocks again. So maybe reaching for the shins or the thighs. Bring the feet up and back maybe one or two times, just giving that spine another kiss. And the next time you head back, just stay there, soften the head down, hug those knees in, and let them move however they like. Oftentimes kind of a circular motion or a side to side feels real nice on the low back. Then we'll just take our time to plant the feet down towards the earth, settling the spine. Reaching for your block, if you'd like to take a lifted bridge pose or a supported bridge, feel free to do so. It might feel nice to take an inhale breath, lift our hips up off the ground, heels walking close to the glutes, and sliding a block right underneath the back, so right at the sacrum, not in the cushy part of your bum or not in the small of your back, but kind of right in between those spaces. And just let things settle. Knowing you have the option to certainly lift the feet up off the ground, turn this into some kind of inversion where the feet are lifted. Of course, if a shoulder stand is part of your practice, you can leave your block and lift a little higher, maybe bringing hands to the small of the low back to hold for support. If your legs have been lifted towards the sky, slowly start lowering from that inversion. Bringing the feet down, easy one at a time. Maybe taking a long body stretch. Some may choose to keep that block under their back as they extend right and then left. Or maybe just one at a time. Oftentimes that long body stretch, even reaching hands up overhead, can feel really nice. When we played with big poses to tease those iliopsoas, front body muscles, hamstrings, along the back side as well. Lots of big spaces in the legs today. Taking your time to soften out of that shape whenever you feel ready. Maybe lifting to remove the block if you haven't already done so. Or if you didn't have a block today, no worries. Start to listen to the body for whatever closing postures are going to make today's class feel complete. Maybe it's another spinal twist or knees to chest. Maybe it's a bound angle, letting those feet touch and knees fall out towards the edges of the mat. Whatever feels nice as you start to soften the muscles of face, moving slowly through any final poses that our bodies might be requesting. Beginning to look for Savasana whenever you feel ready. Your final rest might look like a very traditional version of this pose. Legs fully extended down the mat, maybe palms looked up towards ceiling, shoulders walked out from underneath, back of head rested easy and earth. Or you might have some other version in mind, with bent knees or using props you have at home or here in the space. You might find you're more comfortable even resting on your side. Wherever you'd like to be for the remainder of today's time, today's practice. Feel free to start to let things sift and settle back into place. Allowing the muscles of the body to become heavy and soft. Let each breath that comes in through the nose take its time to travel down through the lungs before leaving your body again, back out through the mouth or through the nose. Use this time to allow the muscles to feel heavy and soft. Watch as the breath comes in through the nose, travels gently through the body, and then exits again. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Allow for gentle movements to come back into the body. Let them start slow, wiggling fingers or wiggling toes, swaying of the head, bending of the knees. Maybe the knees slowly come in towards the chest for those of you who are still laying on your back. Hug the knees in close, rock it easy side to side. Before ultimately finding your right hand side, we'll rest there for just a few moments. Of course, if you feel ready to come to seat, feel free to do so. Finding a place of seated meditation. As your body feels ready, we'll press into the earth and join one another, nice and tall. Let your hands leave your lap, let them reach out for the floor on either side. And then just let your head move a little bit right and left. Let your chin drop down towards your chest. Let it sweep easy side to side. And then just walk those hands back in towards the tops of your knees and take a seated flexion breath. Back up nice and tall through the crown, palm to palm. Today's final reading is entitled Love in Our Heart. If you find it in your heart to care for someone else, you will have succeeded. Maya Angelou. It's easy to fall in love, harder simply to love. When we fall in love, we desire love in return. When we simply love, we give ourselves freely. We become our best selves when we love in this way. While there is much we might hope to accomplish in our lifetime, to love and love well should top the list. I want not only to be in love, but to love. If you find it in your heart to care for somebody else, you will have succeeded. I greatly appreciate you finding this time for yourself today to not only move your physical body, but quiet the mind as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.